By a show of hands, who's ever experienced heartbreak or knows someone who has? Yeah, most of us have. So I want you all to just take a moment to really re-experience what that felt like for you. What thoughts went through your mind, what feelings went through your body. See, I know for a fact that I've experienced heartbreak. In fact, I've experienced heartbreak so much I'm not actually sure if my heart's ever stopped hurting. My name is Jamila Gordon. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up right here in Bayview Houses, also known by the locals as Canarsie Projects. Growing up in the projects was, needless to say, a very stressful experience, no pun intended. I remember stepping over piss in the elevator, never having enough food to eat, and just always watching my parents so frantic all the time. And I have this memory of myself as a kid. I'd wake up early, get dressed, go to school extremely early in the morning just to eat the breakfast. And a couple hours later, go to the cafeteria and eat some lunch. And see, the story's not very climactic, but why it really resonates for me is the fact that on most days, those were the only meals I would have to eat. Poverty. And my dad, he would always say this mantra over and over: it'll get better, it'll get better, it'll get better. And I just remember thinking to myself, well, when? When does poverty actually get better? And this here's my neighborhood. That's my building. Looks pretty good in the photo. Bright lights. But no. The streets were filled with drugs and guns and crime and just all the things that children really should not be exposed to. This is poverty. And I was scared. My family was scared. My family's still there. And they're still scared. This is the front of my building. It always looks like this. Cops strewn everywhere, always searching, whether that be for drugs or guns or anything, really. That's the thing about poverty. When you're poor, people are always searching for you, always waiting for you to do something wrong. So just imagine that. Imagine what that feels like. To always have someone waiting for you to mess up. And that's what poverty is like. And it's extremely, extremely scary. And so just imagine yourself. You know, you want to go outside and play, because this was me. I want to go outside, make a couple friends, but I couldn't. The streets were dark. There was always a random person lurking around, and my dad was afraid. My dad said to me, if you go outside, you might get shot, and you won't come back. So all the parents in the room, or just anyone with a loved one, really, just take a moment, close your eyes, and imagine. If someone you love stepped outside and you were so afraid that they would not come back. That's what it was like for me growing up. And so with all these things, I started thinking, well, if I'm feeling this way, if I'm so anxious, well, what's going on here? And poverty really affected me. I get so anxious now about everything. I'm always worrying. Whether that be school, friends, relationships, anything, I get so anxious. And I said to myself, well, if this is my experience, I'm not the only one that lived in poverty. And I wanted to know, who else? How many others? And according to the US Census Bureau, 12.7% of people in the US are living in poverty. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who are afraid, uncertain, a lot of parents sending their children to school early in the morning just to eat the breakfast so they don't have to starve for the day. And that's what it was like. And so all of these things combined, I was so stressed out. And I just really didn't know what to make of that. And I said, okay, well, if there's so many people living in poverty, experiencing all this stress, well, can stress kill you? That's not a trick question. The answer is yes. Stress can actually kill you. But how? This right here is the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, also known as the stress response. Our hypothalamus and our pituitary gland are in our brain, regulating the hormones released by our adrenal glands. Two of them being norepinephrine, also known as adrenaline, and cortisol. And see, I have this love-hate relationship with cortisol. Because, you know, it's really great when you're running from a bear, one of those wild turkeys that always roam around Lincoln. But see, you know, what happens to 11-year-old Jamila whenever cortisol is coursing through her blood? Coursing through her bloodstream and into her body? Well, she began to look like this. And even more so, her heart began to look like this, tired and weak. And so go back to those feelings of your heartbreak, when your own heart was tired and weak. Now imagine feeling that all the time. What would that be like for you? And so cortisol can have a lot of other effects on your body. High blood pressure. And this here, I'm sorry to disappoint, these are not hot dogs, but actually those are clogged arteries. Cortisol can cause plaque buildup. It can also cause hypertension. Before you know it, you're on the fast track to chronic heart failure and calling out for help. So what's going on? And I know that I talked about the 12.7%, but it's really hard to talk about poverty and social determinants of health without talking about race. So let's just look at this really quickly. Notice how African Americans are leading in poverty in America. What does that tell us? That there's a problem. That there are people calling the shots and wondering who can actually deserve this life. And so the thing about poverty is you're not eating well anyway. You're sure as hell not shopping at Whole Foods. So you've got all these combinations combined. Cortisol coursing through your blood, bad cholesterol, and all the food that you're eating. Well, no wonder you're at an increased risk for heart disease. So what do we do about this? That's why I'm here. This is our job to use our voices to advocate for people who are so long silenced by communities, leaders. It's our job to do something about this. So today I urge you, call your senator, call your state reps, in fact, go on down to the State House. Let them know that this is a problem. People are dying from poverty. And heart disease is the #1 killer in America. This is a public health issue. This is no longer an other issue. This is a we issue, and it is our job to use our voice. We are privileged enough to be here. And so we can do something about this. And I just want to leave you all with this quote. We all do better when we all do better. Think about what that means for you. Because I know that I would love to live in a country where people are not dying from poverty. Go back to those feelings of your heartbreak. How amazing would it feel to know that someone is on your side holding your hand? And that's why we're here today. And I urge you all to do all this work with me. Let's do this together. And so with that being said, take one last moment, turn to your neighbor, pat them on the shoulder, and shake their hand. Because you never know who's walking around with a broken heart. Thank you.